Okay, so here's just a couple questions that have to do with reporting category 2. Reporting category 2 is linear functions. It deals with slope, rate of change, graphs, being able to identify key features in graphs. So that's what we're going to do right now. It says match each key feature of the equation x plus 5y is equal to 10. Right? I tried to figure out if we could use any of this stuff, like the sketchpad. You do transparency where you don't see any of the lines anymore. Then what we're trying to do is just write it, because maybe you don't want to use paper. In order for us to find the slope, there's a formula you can use. M equals negative a over b. The a is the coefficient of x, and b is the coefficient of y. So according to this, there's an imaginary 1 in front of the x. It says negative a, so it'd be negative 1 over b is a positive 5. So my slope is negative 1 over 5. Now, I technically did not have to do all this work because in the table it tells you m equals. We should automatically know that, hey, m equals means slope. Right? Now, let's say that we want to do what the x-intercept is. The x-intercept we can do is by using the cover-up method. We cover up the variable we don't want to find, which is 5y. That means x is equal to 10. Right? We could also did not have to do this work. We could have just looked at the ordered pair. The 0 is in the y location. So anytime you have 0 in the y location, that's your x-intercept. Your y-intercept is 0, 2. Let's show you how to do the math for that. It would have been 5y, because I cover up the x, the variable I don't need, equals 10. I divide by 5 on both sides. Y is equal to 2. Alright. In planning a summer trip for his family, Emily's dad made a table to represent the cost of the trip on the distance traveled in miles. The relationship between miles traveled and cost is linear. Alright, what is the initial cost? And then what is the cost per mile traveled? Well, we can figure out what the cost per mile is by doing slope. So we hit the calculator. We slide this over so we can have room. We hit the division or the slash, forward slash, in our keyboards, and that gives us a fraction. We're doing the y's first. 67.45 minus, the formula is always minus, 102.45. At the bottom, we do the x's. 50 minus 150. That gives me 0.35. That's the slope. Now it wants us to figure out the initial cost. Right? We would do 0.35 times 50. Right? That gives me 17.5. I need to figure out how did I get to 67.45. If I subtract that, that's going to tell me the number that was originally the initial. So the initial is 49.95. Alright, each row contains an equation or a set of ordered pairs. Calculate the slope. Alright, the slope is the number, the coefficient in front of the x. It's attached to the x, okay? There's no plus or minus between this number and the x. They're attached to each other. That way, we look at the bottom and we say, hey, negative 3 over 4, that's the slope. Now, some of y'all might be like, well, hey, that means that the other one has to be negative 4 over 3. You cannot assume that because you don't know what they did. You don't know if maybe they gave you the ordered pair and it's the exact same. So we need to do the formula. The forward slash, and then we do the y's. 4 minus 8. And at the bottom, negative 9 minus 12. Alright, we hit the little circle here and it tells us the fraction. I think I did the wrong, it's negative 12. There we go, negative 4 over 3. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. Alright, let's go to the next question. The table and graph below show the average movie ticket prices in the United States over a 20-year period. Okay, this one gives you a table. They have different values. It never said anything about them being linear, so you want to do regression for that. Okay, that means you want to make the table, type in the numbers that you have, 1990, 1995, 2000, 2005, 2010, 2010. You go back and you do the values. Alright, and we do the regression formula. What I want you to do is on your formula chart, you have y equals mx plus b. Just make sure you add the 1 to it, the squiggly line with the approximate sign, mx1 plus b. This is a linear regression. It's going to tell you what the slope is. M is your slope. It says 0.18 and then an 8 behind it. And choose the best answer. 18 cents. Alright, here's the two functions. They want you to figure out what is the value of k. So that means from f, what did they do to get to g? So I start at the y-intercept, because the way that it's written, that's a plus k. That means that looking at the y-intercept, I'm going to count to see how much did I go up. 1, 2, 3, 4. The origin is 5, 6, 7. So then I put 7 in my box. Okay. Here it wants you to figure out how it shifted. F of x has a number inside the parentheses. Okay, so then really I'm just trying to figure out what is this minus 6. Okay, I'm trying to tell you how it shifted. The minus 6 is a vertical translation. That means it shifted up or down. It's a minus, so it shifted down. For h of x, the minus sign is inside the parentheses. That will be a horizontal, okay, translation. A horizontal translation is left to right. Okay, it's always the opposite of what you think. So if it's minus, that means I really went to the right. Right. For each pair of functions, f of x can be transformed into g of x. So we're going to try to figure out what happened. The function f of x is equal to negative 4x minus 10. It was translated by g of x equals negative f of x. That means that it was a reflection over, it's a vertical reflection. The only way you can get a vertical reflection is if you reflect over the x-axis. Okay? So you click on the box and just do reflection over the x-axis. The function f of x is equal to negative 4x was translated with a horizontal. And then we're trying to figure out how it moved. How did it shift? It's a minus 2, so that's the opposite of what I think. That means it shifted 2 units to the right. 2 units to the right. Okay, now we're looking at this. It gave us 2 equations. And we're trying to figure out where the solution is. The solution to any system is where they intersect at. So we click their intersection point. Alright, so Tom wants to compare 2 different paths for gym membership. The first plan charges $25 sign-up fee, then $5 for every visit. The second plan just charges $100 per month with no sign-up. Tom creates the graph to find the solution to this pair of equations. So wherever they intersect at, before you get, that's going to be when they equal each other. So before they get to it, I'm going to look for the one that's lower. This one is lower. That means this would be the cheaper option. This one's the one, the first plan. The first plan will be cheaper if I plan to go only less than 14 times. If I go more than 14 times, then I look at the line that's lower. The lower line is the dotted line. That's the second plan where you're paying $100. Alright, so then you need to be careful and see what it says. Does it say before or after the 14? If Tom plans to go to the gym 14 or fewer times during the month, then his pay will pay less than with the second plan. That's not true. If he goes less than 14 times, he'll be paying less with the first plan. Alright, so here's the equations. It's already graphed, and I want you to figure out which one it is. Alright, what we do is we look at they're both solid lines, and I believe all the answer choices are solid. I need to figure out what the shading is. They all seem like they're going in the same directions, except they have a different y-intercept. So I need to figure out what that y-intercept is. Oh, I got out of it. That's what I hate about this thing. I think it was number 10. Yeah. Alright. So I need to look for my y-intercept and figure out, hey, what's that going to be? So to do the y-intercept, I use the cover-up method. Okay? So the equation equals 6. And then divide that by the number in front of the y, the coefficient. That's negative 2. That means I will have a negative 3 for y-intercept. On the other one, it says 9 divided by negative 3. Both of them say negative 3, so they will cross at the y-intercept. I just need to figure out what the shading is. Right? When I divide by a negative, I'm supposed to remember that in middle school, they told me that dividing by a negative means the inequality symbol will flip. So instead of being greater than, they're both going to be less than. So I'm looking for which graph crosses at negative 3, that crosses at positive, so that one's out. This crosses at negative 3, but is shading below both lines. This one is shading above the first line, so that one's out. This one is at a positive 3, and we said that needed to intersect at a negative. So then we try to figure out which one was the negative. Here's the negative 3, and they're shading both below the lines. Alright, Cara compared the number of text messages 100 students spent in one day and the grade point average for each student. The correlation among them is negative 0.9, rounds to the nearest tenth. Based on this information, which statement is most likely? Alright, so we know that it looks like to be a correlation because it's a strong negative correlation, but does it really mean causation? Okay. Everybody, when we talked about this in class, they were like, yes, it can be because they did it in class. That's true. It would be true. It could be true if you had 100 students text that many times during school hours. But it didn't say it was during school hours. It said that it was during a day. So that means you cannot prove that there's causation. But you can say that there's a correlation. Alright, the data in the table can be entered into a calculator to determine the linear equation. Alright, so we would type in all that and then look at the R. Okay, so let's table, get this off, plus table 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Scroll over, 78, 71. I'm just going backwards. 68, 65, 50, 58, 56, 46, 44, 43, 42. Then y1 squiggly mx1 plus b. You're looking at r. The r is 0.98. That's a strong positive correlation. Right. Here we have this, and we're imagining that we draw. You see how I put it? I line it up here. I'm going to draw a circle around it like a hot dog, and then draw a line straight through it the best I can. Alright, well, it looks like the closest y-intercept is 100. Alright, and then the slope, it means it's going down. So these do not start at 100. This one doesn't. Alright, and here does this one. So my closest answer is that. Alright. It's the scatter plot is below, and it wants us to figure out what the equation would be. Alright, so it looks like it's close to 60. Alright, and then it's going up. So I would pick the ones that are closer to it would be these two dots. it gave you the whole entire table, so let's just enter the table to be more accurate. $382, 101, 135, 13, 175. Then I look at the M and the B. So M is 54, so I look kind of, and the B is 54 and the M is 9. So let's see 54 and 9. And this is the one that has it, 54, close to 55. The M is next to 9. Right? It wants you to plot. So you're going to use the cover-up method. Cover-up method means I do 4x equals 20. So that's 20 divided by 4. That means the x-intercept is at 5. And then 20 divided by negative 5. The y-intercept is at negative 4. I only need 2 dots. So x-intercept is at 5. Y-intercept is at negative 4. And my line is connected. I'm done. Alright? Just 2 points. They have to be on whole numbers. Alright, here we do this one. Okay, we type it into decimals to figure out what it is. With some points on it. Negative 3 divided by 5. X plus 2. I just need to make sure that these are not in decimals. That was a decimal, so I'm going to hit the gears in the table. And I'm going to look for something that's not a decimal. So let's see. 3, nope. 4, nope. 5, 5 is negative 1. So 0, 2, and 5, negative 1. Okay. 0, 2. 5, negative 1. Okay. Alright, and then what type of... Oh, man. Got out of it. 715, I think. Alright, it was at... Oh, we did this one. Alright, it was at positive 2. And then 5, negative 1. Alright, and then it has a greater than or equal to, so that means that's a solid line, so we leave it alone. We click on B. Alright, in order for you to graph that, you have to move that plus 5 over to the other side. So 3 divided by 2 minus 5. And then we figure out what these are, but this one has a decimal, so we're going to do the gears in the table, and it's negative 2, negative 8. So negative 2, negative 8, and 2, and 0, negative 5. Negative 5. Alright, and then we go back and we look at what the line, there's no line underneath it, so that means this is a dash. Okay, now we look at the shading. I wrote some pictures on how the shading should look. So if the blue line is negative, that means that I want to do greater. This would be the above part. The dotted line says it wants you to do less than, so less than would be to the right of it. So this part right here, and we got to make sure we click on solution set first, and then click on where they would overlap. Okay. Here's this one. It wants you to tell me What the 0 is, that is the x-intercept. So the x-intercept is at -6. Right, it says they want you to plot -10, 12, and 20. And then 10 would be right there. And then 5. Okay, they would intersect. Looks like they would intersect at 10,5. Which graph best represents the solution? We want to switch the x and the y. So if I switch the y over to the other side, it's going to be a positive, and the 2x is going to become a negative x. The 6, nothing happens to it. Alright, I move over the x, so it's going to be negative 5x plus 28, and then I'm going to divide by -4. Alright, so I'm looking to see where they intersect at. They're intersecting at the top. Alright, so they need to intersect up there. That was not it. Not right, 28. Okay, they're intersecting at 4, -2. Let's see. Looks like it could be A. Can it be B? Can't be that one. So the answer is A. I want you to graph it. So we're going to pretend we have the scratch pad. And we're going to line it up. -10. -10 and 11, I can't really graph that. -10 and 11 would be down here. And then 7, 0 would be right there. And then we would connect the 2 dots. It says the slope is -11 over 17. So we can just do the calculator for it. Oh, but this is going up. So that means that can't be it, because that says negative. And then we said the y-intercept is 0, 4. It didn't look like it. Looks like it was -5. And we do know that it's an x-intercept. So x-intercept is 7, 0, which is also a 0. And it said to select all 3 that apply. So we know it's not the slope. And let's see. +2, no. 0, +4, no. That doesn't even make sense. Let's see. Let's see. -11 -0, -10 -7. It is -11 over 17. I don't know why I thought it was going down. Maybe I plot the points wrong. Oh, I did. It said negative and it's up here at the positive. There you go. That's what I messed up on. Alright, hopefully this helps you. Just make sure that I'm going to upload a video where I have some notes on the formula chart, and hopefully that helps you out.